Sometimes as educators, we look for particular kinds or styles of music to use in our classes for various purposes. For example, I used to play quite a bit of Mozart softly when students were working on something that had to be quiet, such as a 15-minute writing assignment or something like that. And I would try not to turn it up too loud so that it was distracting, but enough so that it kind of helped them be able to focus. Mozart was one that I used frequently. Other times I would play different kinds of music. When we would study poetry and Edgar Allan Poe, I would play creepy noises going on in the background. What you're going to do then is choose a song. Hopefully it's going to be one that you might think about using with your own classes at some point in the future. So for your music elements application, you're going to be doing some analysis of a song. Now, I selected a song and made some notes about it just to show you what those might look like. And I chose the song from The Greatest Showman Ensemble, This Is Me by Kira Seattle. And so these are just notes. This is not what I would submit, but this is how I would start collecting the information on the elements that I would want to write about. So for the melody, she has the soft female voice. And you can tell, you can kind of hear the heart in her voice. I might even write that in there. She starts, I'm not a stranger to the dark, far away, 'cause today. And then her voice begins to gain strength as she goes into the second stanza, and the ensemble joins her, begins singing harmony, and we hear that melody and as background rhythm vocals. And then the song gets big and loud and beautiful. And then toward the end, it gets very quiet again. We hear Kira Seattle singing the solo again. And then the ensemble comes back in and it gets loud again. And then it ends very quietly. So I compared it to, it's shaped like a rainbow, but that leans to the right a little bit. Notes on the rhythm are that it is in a clear, I said 3/4 time. I meant to say 4/4 time. Let me fix that. It's in a clear 4/4 time, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm not a stranger to the dark. 2, 3, far away, 'cause today. So yeah, you hear that consistent beat going on. And we hear much of the background vocals and primary vocals on the offbeats. And then the melody is primarily 1/4 and 1/8 notes. So there aren't a lot of little short notes, but there also are not a lot of lengthier notes. The lyrics, the words marching on are repeated, and they really reflect this consistency of the rhythm. So I would give that example in my writing. For the dynamics, it starts pianissimo. And if you are not familiar with the terms related to some of these dynamics, such as pianissimo and forte and sforzando, then you don't have to use those. You could say that it starts very softly with a solo voice and it builds to get louder in the second stanza, and then it gets very loud farther on into the song, and then it very quickly gets pianissimo again. So I would add some more to my dynamics notes here. The form. Now the form is imagine that you're looking at the lyrics, assuming that your song has lyrics. And I will say that it's probably going to be easier for you to do this assignment if your music does have lyrics. Imagine that you're looking at the lyrics as a poem. You're going to see stanzas. You're going to see chorus most likely. Not every song has a chorus, but most do. So I explained that stanzas 1 and 2 about shame and scars, and that ties in with the very soft female voice that we hear. And then stanza 3, we're hearing about their bravery, followed by the chorus of the oh, kind of on the offbeats. And then the new stanza where they're demonstrating that they're warriors, they're standing up for themselves. And there's repetition of verse 3 in the chorus and more repetition. So I would be a little more detailed in that part. The tempo I described as steady driving, not rushed at all, but persistent. And this, I felt like, lends to the strength of the singers and helps convey their strength as individuals and also as a group. Now, when we talk about duration, we're talking about not how long is the song, not how many minutes and seconds is it, but what kind of notes do we hear through the song? Do we hear lots of notes being held out? Or maybe they're moving very, very quickly and there are a lot of words crammed into just a small number of notes or beats. And so again, I said that most of the duration is 1/4 and 1/8 beats. One of the lengthier words is where she is singing. She's doing it as I can't think of the word, kind of like a canon over the melody, and where she's saying worthy, and she holds that out for about 2.5 beats. So I would give some examples of what I use here to determine the duration. And then just for my own self, which I would include if I were doing this assignment, but you're not required to, just I feel so strongly about this song. I love it so much. I describe the overall feeling as being empowering and strengthening, and it gives us the feeling of wanting to get up and move and dance. So I would turn my notes then into this form here of what's going to be written up for the project. Notice that part 3 here, which is the description of 5 musical elements, and I did more than that. I did 6 plus a little follow-up. You're going to write a paragraph for each, and you're going to bold each of the elements as you discuss them. So you're looking at about 12 points for each element that you describe. Now, I will say that if you put all this in one great big block of text, it's going to be difficult for me to read. So please use your, consider using standard academic writing traits as you do this, and use appropriate paragraphing. If there are lyrics, then you need to copy and paste them here. And then your reflection. Why do you need to know this? Why might you want to use this? How might you do this with your students in some way, shape, or form? And you might think of this in relation to language arts, in relation to math. You can have students create songs that have to do with social studies or science or health. Many ways that this can be used with others, but for this right now, just focus on finding that one song that you really want to delve into and analyze for us.